Hello, and welcome to Podcast Heroes. My name is Bentley.
I'm Aaron.
And Billy.
This is week 20. Guys.
Episode 20!
Episode 20.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
We've done it.
We failed to deliver, though, on anything special.
Well, if you're watching on the live stream, there's a little special something on the screen right
There
now.
is.
But it is R-rated.
Well, the 20
Earlier,
isn't
maybe.
R-rated. Our language is, but the 20 isn't.
And that's true. There is a little 20 peering up into our eyes, right in the corner, just a twinkle in your eye.
Yeah.
And we had a new hero this week.
We did. You know what? I think Blizzard was looking out for us. Realized it was our 20th week.
They were like,
and
skip
they said,
the PTR.
Skip the PTR.
Skip it.
We're going straight live with Rexxar.
Yeah.
And
well,
they just provided us with plenty of things about Rexxar to talk about. So
Good or bad?
bad.
How about this? At the end, when you're doing your build, 'cause we've got a featured build.
We do.
And for all you Rexxar players, or for all you players who are like, I hate seeing Rexxar on every game on both teams, how do I get rid of him? The answer is Stitches, and Billy will walk you through it later. But while you're doing that build, I'll get us all a glass of wine. We'll toast. We'll drink our wine, and we'll have a merry old time for episode 20.
All right. Do you have anything but wine?
sounds like
Do you have some kinky? I could go for some kinky.
well, I'll see what I have for your picky palate.
Well, you know, I just like kinky.
Bentley is easygoing.
Yes. Just because of the current age requirement. That we need.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a lot of requirements.
Like water would be
Yeah.
good for Bentley.
or
Cranberry juice.
Or a nice soda.
Soda.
A nice soda.
Some soda.
Anyway, we have lots of news, kind of. Billy, what's the news?
We got lots of... I wouldn't say we have lots of news. I would say we have lots of things to talk about the news we have.
There you go.
We are kind of a little bit limited because there wasn't too much exciting things going on in the game itself. In fact, if you looked at the patch notes this week, there was one thing changed and it was on KT and it was a long
it was
time
actually
coming.
the patch note.
Yeah, it was patch
You're right.
note.
Of course, we have Rexxar dropping, so we're going to spend a lot of time in the news talking about Rexxar specifically. And then we have some additional reporting functions that came out, English, it's such a silly language. And some other fun stuff. Gillyweed and Anna something, I always forget her name, did an interview with some devs for Heroes of the Storm, so they have, some rumors that kind of got released, so we're going to be looking into the ones that excite us personally. There's much more, and we can include a link later to look at everything that was talked about. But I think the thing we really need to start out with, though, because of how much of a fan I am of this, and I know Bentley's a big fan too, there was a Heroes of the Storm esports website launched.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, for someone who finds it difficult to keep up with all the esports news, This is an amazing move on Blizzard. It's just heroesofthestorm.com/esports, right?
/esports.
And you go on there, tons of recap videos, I think some interviews with the teams, players. I mean, tons of good stuff on there.
Yeah, they have like schedules and results and things like that. So if you were unable to catch a tournament and you really want to just know the results because you don't have time to watch for it, you can definitely just check out what's going on there. And the big thing that it really helps you is like being in America. It's really easy to keep up with American esports and even European esports. Just look at how closely related EU and America are when it comes to esports. But this way also it gives you a good avenue to get into the Korean meta, which I mean, anytime you want to get good at the game, watch Koreans play the game. And that just goes for any game, period.
I think it has to do with the fact that it's way more accepted in their culture as like a thing for people to do.
Well, I mean, you look at the World Championship for League of Legends last year, which was hosted in Seoul, Korea. The Prime Minister of Korea showed up to watch the Grand Finals. It was hosted in the World Cup Stadium, packed full with Imagine Dragons playing. I mean, what other country are you going to get that?
Let's just point out that they're never involved in any baseball, football, or soccer.
Counterpoint, though. They're very good soccer.
Oh, are they?
They're very good at baseball. They don't have a football team, but no other country outside of America does.
They play some b-ball, though.
But they play a lot of baseball, like every other. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I guess I just never hear about any of their sports except for their
esports.
Well, did you also know that just like Israel and a lot of other, smaller countries, really, every male youth is required to serve in the military. So they have to do military time. But
serve
fun fact,
in the esports military.
if only. No, but fun fact, they can actually get their service term delayed if they're on a competitive esports team.
Wow.
That's kind of like when it was earlier in our podcast when we were talking about you can get a visa
To the United States now,
or out
to be
of
an
it,
athlete.
to be an athlete.
Well, no. How the way visas work is the country gives them. So if you're coming into the country, that's how you get it from the country. So leaving the country, you don't get an esports visa. Unless you're going to a country that'll give you an esports visa.
Right.
So, the more you know.
Nice.
Since I'm
nice little tidbit news there.
Since I'm a worthless pile of international law knowledge, I can help you out with just about anything you need in that realm of things. So that's the exciting
What's
thing.
What's the name of the website?
It's heroesofthestorm.com. No spaces, no underscores, anything. Just heroesofthestorm.com/esports.
/esports.
And I believe if you want to do the whole, you can change between EU and NA. So it's like NA dot, Heroes of the Storm, blah, blah, blah. Or it's EU dot Heroes of the Storm, blah, blah, blah. If you want to look, I think the NA one definitely focuses more on what happens in North America, whereas the EU one definitely focuses more on what's going on in the EU. And of course, you can get news about the other regions on whichever site you go to. It's just there's more focus on the corresponding one because really you can watch Korean meta, but it's a lot more fun to stay up on what's going on in your hometown kind of thing. And
another site, we've mentioned it before, follow esports if you want to get better at this game because they're the people who you need to watch. They're not the be all end all, do it this way or you lose, but they're good and it's worth watching. Download the Hot Slogs client. It was recently updated, maybe 10 days ago.
I do got to ask, are you getting paid by Hot Slogs? Because I think you work it into every single episode. And if you are, why aren't you sharing the wealth?
I'm not at liberty to discuss that.
I plead the fifth.
No. It's just very useful. You can get to know not just the game overall, I don't remember if Skeleton King is still at the very top like he was with everybody, but you can even focus it in on just my games. What am I good at this week?
Okay.
So obviously you have to play enough games for there to be a good set of data, but it's interesting to see.
Well, and it's nice that they're keeping that up to date because a lot of my worry was I noticed as we went through the beta, I think pretty much from the beginning when I started playing in March up until the game officially launched, every week Aaron would annoy me. It's like, have you checked Hot Slogs? This is the champion that's winning the most on Hot Slogs. Hot Slogs, Hot Slogs, just going on and on. And every time I would look, it didn't look like Hot Slogs was getting updated at all. It looked like it was staying the same, and it had all those issues that we've talked, or that at least I've complained about in our earlier podcast. It had all those issues, and they didn't really change. But from the sound of things, it's like ever since the game has launched live, it seems like they've been updating it.
There's something
and
like 14 million games played now.
Yeah,
nice.
On Hot Slogs, so that's a large set of data.
And that makes it better. So that really kind of alleviates almost every worry I had with the program because before it was like
it was just getting started. It needed the data.
Right.
It didn't have it, so it was unreliable. Yeah. But with so many people using it, and with you using it, you'll contribute to that big pool of data.
Absolutely.
Speaking of big pools of data,
and a completely idiotic move on Blizzard's part.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is this what we're talking about, or are you talking about something
I
else?
was gonna say that there's so many maps, which is awesome, and I love it. I haven't played Infernal Shrines once.
That's right.
And that's rough. I played it once.
You played it one time.
I've still played it 4 times. I also haven't been playing Heroes that much, so it surprises me that I still lead the way with how many times I played it. I played it 4 times.
Didn't you play it like 4 times in a row?
No, I played it like twice in a row, and then it was spread out. It was spread out in my placement games. I played it in my placement games. I think I didn't win it once.
I'm glad I didn't play it in a single placement game.
And yeah, you should be. Because it seems like the meta that goes with Infernal Shrines is completely opposite of what you want on any other map. I think that's got to be the only map where you can take 3 specialists into it and win the game easily.
Yeah, dude.
Because the game I played it was, or the one that I just got absolutely spanked on, and this is the one that's burned in my memory. It was a Diablo tank, a Rhaegar support, and this is the team I was playing against, I should say. Diablo tank, Rhaegar support, Sergeant Hammer, Sylvanas,
nice,
and I believe a Murky.
Wow.
And it's like, I mean, you look at all 5 of those champions, the only one who doesn't have good AoE is probably Rhaegar. I mean, Diablo's a little bit limited with how his is aimed with his W, but the Fire Stomp, but he still has it. Rhaegar really doesn't have anybody. He can put his Lightning Shield down on someone, and it
Lightning Shield's strong.
And that can still,
the amount of pain in the ass that Hammer was on that map just blew my mind, because I'm just still so used to the idea that Sergeant Hammer's worthless. Like, she's just not good,
anymore.
But she's come back so big.
We didn't mention
really
that last week.
Me. We didn't. We had a lot to talk about last week.
Yeah, we did.
We did.
But the general thing with Sergeant Hammer is she kind of got nerfed.
Nerfed. Yeah.
And so her 5-second cooldown on her plant, I don't know what it's called,
where she switches from like drive mode to siege mode.
It went from 5 seconds to 2 seconds, and it might even be like 1 3/4 seconds
or something. Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about Infernal Shrines. Bentley, you mentioned that there was some glitch.
Yeah, so I believe Gillyweed and the other person that interviewed the devs, Anna, they were told that there's still some bugs with Infernal Shrines with how the skeletons health at the shrines do not scale up with the levels of the map.
Right.
And so level 16 comes around and a KT Flame Strike will just kill all 5 of the skeletons that spawn in that spot, and that's extremely broken.
Very helpful.
And another thing,
have huge AoE there.
Yeah,
absolutely,
exactly. And another thing is that still seeing a lot of issues with the Punisher's damage. They're saying too much damage on structures that is not intended, and then also I still think that they should still nerf that Arcane one,
right?
Because he still is such a pain. And I'm seeing a priority over the Arcane. Well, and I'm saying this because I played one map, and I played a bunch of other ones in the PTR. But there was a lot more, there's a higher priority for the Arcane Punisher versus, the Mortar and the Ice one. Which they should all have an equal playing field.
Absolutely.
Same amount of urgency. And they don't.
Well, and I found it weird how the shrines were activated, too, because it seemed completely randomized in all the games I played. It's like there was no rhyme or reason to it. It's like you would get the message in the game. It's like, okay, a shrine's going to activate, and then like a few seconds before it activates, you know which one it's going to be. So it's like there's no way to prepare. There's no way to set up. So it's almost like luck of the draw. Like the enemy team's Sergeant Hammer just so happens to be right next to the shrine.
Yeah. And, the one...
Sucks for you.
The one game I played on Ranked, I was Zagara, and I had a blast on that map, and we steamrolled like horribly. I mean, it was to a point where we were like, okay, we're gonna win this game by level 5.
Yeah,
like it was just like, come on. And I had a Jaina, KT, Zagara, Muradin, and a Malfurion. I mean, that's it. GG.
AoE.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we just every time we got to the shrines, we just got 30 instantly. The Punisher just steamrolled. It's I don't know. It seems to be it's for sure unbalanced.
Yeah, and so I guess we should add the disclaimer in here. I know we usually do have a map stats that happens towards the end of the podcast. Aaron still hasn't played Shrines. Bentley's played it once in competitive play. I played it 4 times like a week and a half ago, if not more. So we are not going to be talking about Infernal Shrines because we just don't have the stats on it just yet.
And we anticipate it changing.
We do, because there are bugs, there are problems with it. So we anticipate it changing. We're going to wait until things are kind of settled with it, since it is such a relatively new map. So we're
going to drink wine
out
instead.
Yeah, exactly. We are going to substitute that out for a build instead. Like we haven't done a build in a while, so we figured that'd be a good thing to bring in. On to more specific news. The first thing we got to talk about is Rexxar. Rexxar's live, and my first big complaint with this is it went straight from the dev's desk to live. It did not hit the PTR at all. My curiosity is why, Blizzard, why would you have a PTR if you're not going to use it? That's,
Yeah, I agree. And the past heroes, they've been going through the PTR, and I don't know why
hasn't Monk been the only one to be on the PTR? Was Leoric ever on it?
I believe Butcher was on PTR,
Was Butcher on it?
To me, it seems like a last-ditch effort to catch up a week that they lost. They said they want to stick to this 3-week timeline. They got a little bit behind. Maybe they know that the next one is going to be a little bit behind too. So rather than have a 5 or 6 weeks gap, they just released him right out. They'll fix him in play, and and then they'll send the next one into PTR to give the appearance of consistency, where really it's a little bit shaky. I would rather they just do what they need to do, take their time, and make good content.
It's not like anybody's sitting here with a stop, or anyone who is sitting there with a stopwatch, like waiting for the next champions. Like you said, 3 weeks. It's 2 weeks and 6 days right now. It better be out tomorrow. Yeah. Anyone who's like that is not the kind of fan you want to have for your game. You need, and they're just having such issues like we said, Shrines, that did go to PTR, but it's still popping up with bugs.
Yeah.
And I think that's to be expected with a map, because a map is huge. There's a lot of variables to control.
Exactly.
But when it comes to a champion, there's no excuse for a champion to go in so raw into a live launch that it really does affect the game. Luckily, this hasn't been a game-breaking champion, one that wins every single game it's in. It's actually kind of more the opposite, where if you play with one, it almost means you can lose. Yeah, and I mean, Aaron's been the only one to actually play Rexxar on a competitive scale, in any way, shape, or form. I haven't played since Rexxar
I would
launched,
disagree.
so.
I don't think that he's preventing anybody from winning. I don't think he's a bad champion. He is a warrior, and he is not a tank.
And yeah, we're going to talk about that. But.
Right. I have a couple things about him that I have problems with.
Okay.
Specifically, they needed to take a closer look at the AI.
Absolutely.
Specifically, right off the bat, I'm running in. I stand in a bush, and Misha is sitting there out of the bush.
Yeah.
It needs to take a look. Is your hero cloaked? Yes. Misha should be cloaked.
Right.
Even if it means standing on top of Rexxar. And I think that can be a body block exception.
Well, and that's something else that I wanted to bring into this conversation. I was reading through Reddit about, all the Rexxar joys and
woes.
Not joys, because there were plenty of those. And it seemed like every single post contained the main complaint was about Misha, not about Rexxar himself, which is what intrigued me, because it's like Misha comes in as a pet. So and just on that note alone, Misha should be inherently weaker. Or if Misha's such an integral part to Rexxar's kit, Misha should be proper. And it seems like they just focus mostly of their efforts on having Rexxar right, that they just ignored what Misha will do. On top of the body blocking thing, I saw a lot of reports of that being a problem. One, because there's a complete lack of Misha control, like direct control. I know there's ways through abilities to control her, but complete direct control from her means that you can body block an ally to dying, or you don't have the ability to body block the enemy team, which should, in this game, with how important body blocking is, that should be a mechanic that can be in there. You should be able to willingly sacrifice Misha in order to body block the enemy team from chasing your team down, and that doesn't exist. So I did see that as a problem. If you're going to introduce an exception to let Misha stand on top of you in a bush, there needs to be an exception for allies to move through Misha at any point in time, because there is no way to directly control. Well, okay, I'll say it this way. There's two paths Blizzard needs to take here, and they need to choose one. Either allies should be accepted from being body blocked by Misha, or Misha should be able to be directly controlled, so that if Misha will body block someone, the person controlling Misha has the ability to move Misha out of the way.
I hear what you are saying, and the answer is no. I totally agree. There needs to be more control. After playing a couple games on Rexxar, I was getting the hang of it. I was feeling like Misha was almost always exactly where I wanted her to be, with a couple exceptions. One, if she leashes, she will not select a new target until she has come back to you.
Right, which is
a massive problem. That's just one of those AI fixes that needs to be done. If you have her by my side and you're just outside of tower range, sometimes she'll just sit there in tower range. It should be an AI that she leaves tower range and stands next to you directly
on your
out of
other side.
On your other side. There's a tooltip problem, and it may not be a problem. It may just be clumsily worded.
Okay.
I think it's a level 13. It may be a level 7 even. It's a tool. Anyway, it's Blood of the Rhino. Extends your men pet 5 seconds. That's double the duration. Now, when you read it, it's a talent, so you would assume, well, it obviously increases the healing, but it doesn't say that. and even when you pick it, it doesn't indicate that you're getting healed more. In actuality, you're getting double the healing.
Huh.
It doesn't change the per second heal at all. It just extends it double the length.
Okay.
So instead, it still says you're getting healed 752 damage. You're actually getting healed double that.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, that doesn't seem too bad though, and that certainly doesn't seem game breaking.
It's certainly not a game breaking thing. It's just a tooltip problem.
Right.
Another thing that I wanted to talk about with Misha and Rexxar is if you have Rexxar and you haven't picked Feign Death yet, pick Feign Death because it will save you and you get to directly control Misha. You take control of her. You can use your W, and if you picked the Misha related ult, you can use it. It's just so fun because suddenly you go from squishy Rexxar to Rexxar's fine, leave him alone. I am the most awesome tank in the game.
I'm a bear.
Interesting.
I have some problems with Rexxar, and I do need to add in the disclaimer. I have not played the game since Rexxar has dropped, but from everything I've read, this is just kind of where I'm coming into problem with it. There just flat out needs to be a way to get Misha controlled. And it's silly that there isn't. One of the suggestions I saw on Reddit was that maybe if you hold down D, the trait, you hold down D, and then you can right-click there, and that would be a way to control Misha. I think that would be completely acceptable.
Okay.
I know my problem is, like, if you have a pet, you want to be able to use it outside of a combat atmosphere to do other things. What I'm specifically thinking is scout a bush or scout a camp.
Now, his level 1 talent does allow him to do that from a really massive range.
How so?
He throws a flare that lasts 5 seconds. It doesn't body block, but it reveals an area, and it's a very large range.
That's fine, but why isn't there not ability for me to be able to run Misha from one bush to another around the corner in order to go look at the camp? One of the reasons I'm thinking this is because specifically Misha has been noted to be able to block skill shots, be able to soak up hero-only damage, so things that are marked as hero-only, they can affect Misha too, as well as the fact that Misha can block a camp and cap a camp. So it's like you have this character in the game that's able to act exactly like a hero, but there's no way to control it to let it behave like a hero. Why is there no way for me, if I was playing Rexxar, to be around a corner in a bush, knowing somebody's taking a camp, and then I can just run Misha in there to hold the camp from being captured while the rest of my team piles in, almost as a way to initiate? I just wish there was a way to really do that. And I know you could do the Feign Death route and, that kind of thing in order to do that. But that puts Rexxar in a stasis where he can't move and he has no control. And it prevents you from picking other talents in that tier if you can only focus on Feign Death from there on out. And then this game is supposed to be balanced to the point where any talent is viable. That's definitely not the case now, and it should never be the expectation because that's almost impossible to do. But there should never be a time where one talent is so far superior to every other talent that it should be the only talent picked.
Yeah.
Like what?
Like Feign Death.
Oh, I didn't say it was the only one.
No, but I'm saying, that's the only way to control Misha. So why do I have to get locked into picking Feign Death if I want to be able to control Misha?
For
is my point
right?
there, yeah.
So, devil's advocate, I think, and now obviously I own Rexxar, so obviously I want there to be direct control of Misha.
Yeah.
Like, obvious. I think it would be brokenly OP.
Yeah.
And I think that part of his charm, and like in his little cinematic video, it's that he doesn't control them; they just come to his aid. And
and he never hunts alone.
If Blizzard wants to run with that route, I'm perfectly okay with that. Then what they need to do is make
Fix
it so
the
that
AI.
Misha does not... Yeah, one, fix the AI. Two, make it so that Misha does not body block your allies, because there's never a time where somebody should die because of an uncontrollable element of the game. If somebody dies because of a person's skill shot, that's fine, because that skill shot is controllable. If somebody dies because their ally is standing in front of them, that's fine, because that ally could have moved out of the way. But Misha is an uncontrollable element that is not intentionally placed anywhere, and that should never cause somebody to die.
Here's the absolute fix to the situation.
PTR?
Introduce a talent or even just an additional button that you throw into number 1. Once every 8 seconds, you can give her a direct command. That would alleviate, in a boss situation, you're bossing, I've tried. You have to basically call her out and step away from the battle before he starts his AoE.
Yeah.
If you want her to not take a third
The
of her
stun,
health.
yeah.
Now, that being said, she heals so quickly it doesn't really matter. She's pretty
Regardless,
much
though,
healed up by the next AoE. But
she should
I want
either
to be able
immune
to
to that
control
stun, or she should be able to be easily moved down. But no, you're right. Okay.
But I also think it would be brokenly OP to be able to control her at all times. But I would like to see maybe a talent, a level 1 talent that we just always take, or they just throw it in, command pet. Command Misha.
But if it's going to be brokenly OP that she could be commanded at all times, then that's when you nerf Misha at that point. Because, I mean, there's just no reason that she should not be controllable, or that she should be able to, affect the game in such a way that a controlled aspect would fix it.
Okay.
If that makes sense. If I'm, processing those words correct.
But this is what I'm seeing, though.
Okay.
If you're able to control her independently, say like a Lost Vikings kind of situation,
Right.
we're going to be seeing a lot of, Misha bot lane, Rexxar mid lane, EXP soaking,
Well,
that's where some complications might.
But-
And given in mind, he is a ranged warrior.
Yeah.
This is not his role to be split pushing, gaining EXP. Like you're a warrior. You're supposed to be in the group of the battle.
My counter to that would be still have a leash range on her. If he steps outside that leash range, then you no longer have control of Misha. Misha comes back to you. Or to I don't even know where I was going with number 2, but that's the main one. It's like there should still just be a leash range, because obviously it's not the Lost Vikings in this case. This is a hero and a pet, and I mean either he should have control over the pet, or the pet should have no effect on the battle, or to negatively impacting your allies unless it's directly controlled by you.
Yeah.
That, I mean, and that's just me, and maybe I need a chance to play with Rexxar, maybe I need a chance to play against Rexxar.
I've never seen it be an issue.
But how many games have you played?
Just under 5.
Yeah.
But you can charge out if body blocking your allies becomes a problem. It's like if you take all of the talents with it, it's essentially a 3-second cooldown to just charge out of that situation.
Yeah.
So,
But
I mean, if you just charged in and then you body block, it's kind of your fault.
True, you're right. But that's also under the obligation that you're taking all of the talents that help you fix that problem.
Yeah.
And there's no reason ever there should be a single linear build just to fix a simple problem that Misha can body block someone.
Yeah.
That's silly. That's game breaking. It's game defying, I should say. And it's just ridiculous. So we've spent about 30 minutes now talking about Rexxar and Misha and my woes with it. I do want to play. One, ranged warriors are stupid. Rexxar's an assassin with a tanking pet.
That's almost what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. They either need to bring in a new class, they need to get away from the fact that there are rules in this game, something like that.
You were saying earlier that they put it out there. They don't want to be
held to the 4 traditional rules. Which why do you have those rules then? What's the point?
I don't have any problem with it. I like their way of just doing unique things, bringing totally murky. What the hell is a murky?
And I'm okay with them doing unique things. They just need to get rid of the labels then.
I mean, Rexxar on paper sounded amazing.
Absolutely.
I mean, when they announced
I was really excited.
Yeah, it was crazy. But then now, in game, it just seemed... It looks like he for sure has a learning curve. And then, I mean, he seems like he has some issues. What are some maps that he shines on?
Let's ask that.
What are some maps that, if someone just bought Rexxar,
Spiders.
Yeah.
I can see that.
What about team-based maps?
Sky Temple.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Shrines. He can really take you down mid alone.
Yeah.
Those would be my top 3 for him.
Okay.
Temples, Shrine, and Spiders. It's worth mentioning if you're just alone and you have your Misha charge up, she can grab orbs for you and chain it to your team. But I mean, if you don't like her, just report Rexxar every game.
There you go.
And speaking of reporting,
Nice.
All right, well, no, I am going to interrupt you here. I want to do something that we've never done before with the new character. I think we should grade the launch, the kit, everything just in one encompassing A, B, C, D, E, F, G. What? Okay, so A, B, C, D, E, F.
G. I like that.
No, I mean G for
god awful.
Terrible. How would you rate the Tyrande of Warriors, Aaron? Overall, encompassing everything into one grade, how did Blizzard handle Rexxar?
D+.
D+. Wow, I thought you would be higher, honestly.
Oh no, there's no excuse for them to have not fixed this AI.
Okay.
If you're going to introduce a character, you fix the obvious problems. That is the obvious problem.
Right. What about you, Bentley?
I would almost say D-, just because add on everything we've said so far on top of the launch issues that he was having. We
forgot to talk about that.
Exactly.
Go ahead and explain it.
As soon as I logged in, because I'm like, Rexxar is out, I need to check this out, of course. Right then, I saw that little exclamation point, with the triangle, saying that there is for sure going to be maintenance. And it actually said on there, we are currently having issues with Rexxar not gaining EXP in matchmaking. And right then and there, I'm like, well, obviously this is not PTR then. And let's see how much of a mess it is. So yeah, D-, just because there's just no preparation at all.
I'm going with a straight F-.
Ooh.
Terrible. Well, the kit's okay, but
I don't
the
know
numbers...
if there are F-.
There is in my book right now. While the kit is acceptable, the Misha problems are unforgivable.
Yeah.
You have a PTR and you didn't use it. Why? And I mean, even if Rexxar had gone through the PTR and then some problems popped out after the PTR and everything, I could accept that because things happen. But you ignored the PTR completely and you launched a character that's clearly flawed. It's not a warrior; it's an assassin. Classify it properly. And
I don't think it's an assassin. I actually don't think it's either.
What?
Maybe it's a specialist.
Maybe it's a specialist. And it's ridiculous. It's silly. There's just so many problems associated with Rexxar. I like the kit still. I can't wait to see what happens when Rexxar's fixed. I'll probably end up buying them because I just love warriors. And I mean, even though Rexxar himself isn't a warrior, Misha still fills that role that I enjoy watching done with the body blocking, the stuns, the CC, and the getting big and beefy and standing in the way. That's just me. So I love Misha. I just don't like Rexxar.
The only reason that I'm not as angry as you that they didn't use their PTR is because they should introduce a way to transfer your gold to the PTR. Because I wanted to buy him. I wasn't going to spend real money. I would have had to wait the additional week.
Good point.
I have to disagree with that.
I think that there's no harm in allowing you to transfer gold over. That doesn't mean that you unlock it.
Okay,
it means you unlock it on the beta.
The way I would find it acceptable is if the gold you transferred over is taken away from your live account and you're not allowed to transfer anything you buy with that gold.
That's what I have in mind.
Okay, yeah, and I'm perfectly okay with that because I just don't like the idea that somebody can get a character super early, play him for a week straight, get really good on him when 90% of the population still doesn't have access to it. And then they're able to just transfer it straight over and start rolling you right away. There needs to be penalties.
You can if you've got the cash.
You can if you have the cash, absolutely. And that's the way these companies make money. And I'm perfectly okay with that.
Report and punish all of those people, and we will silence them.
and that's going to lead us into our next session. Thank you for so subtly shifting us there
I tend
again.
to be subtle.
Yeah. So there has been additional reporting measures added on, as well as a new punishment to go with this. Specifically, my understanding is that if people are abusive, exceptionally abusive, then they will get a punishment called silence or something like that.
Yep.
They'll get silenced for the first time 24 hours, and then it doubles every time after that. So 48, 96, and then I'm not that fast at math, so I'm just going to leave it be. It doubles every single time. What do you guys think about this?
I honestly don't think this will make that big of a difference, apart from we'll see a lot, the toxic players just be quiet, but we'll hear a lot of pinging, and
because they can still ping.
They can still ping.
I'm presuming that it's using unique games, so even if if you're toxic one game, all 4 people are pissed, they all report you for the same reason, you're not going to result in being banned for a week and a half. It will be a 24-hour, and then the next game that you play,
and you're toxic,
where you're toxic, regardless the number of people who report you, that will double it.
I mean, this is a slap on the wrist. I'm okay with the first 24-hour ban. I'm okay with the 48-hour ban. I think that's okay. Like, some people just, sometimes get their anger out there and vent it. When you get to the point where you're getting banned for a week at a time, if not more, you need to get banned from playing the game. Because it's... Yeah, these people can still whisper their friends. They can still talk in party chat if they've been partied with people. It's absolutely ridiculous that anyone can go into a game that's been abusive, that's been harassing people, that's been bullying, because that's just 3 unacceptable things in any walk of life. And they're going in there and they're still allowed to play this game. No, you got to really truly punish them. So after like the 4th, the 5th time of them getting banned, there needs to be a straight punishment. They need to get banned from playing the game for a 24-hour period, a 48-hour period, a 96-hour period. And, compound that, because you're still rewarding these people by letting them play the game and they're not learning their lesson.
Yeah, and I think Aaron and I agreed on is that maybe, not a complete ban from the game, but at least a ban from ranked play. Which would be, really useful.
I definitely agree with that.
I say don't let them play at all. Let them play against AI.
Well, here's the difficult part. When you ban someone from the game, they're not going to be legally required to refund the hundreds of dollars that some people have spent on this game. But it's very difficult for them from a monetary standpoint to think, let's ban this guy who spent $200 because he's being an ass. Well, probably we should not ban him because we want money.
Traditionally, though, the people spending money on this game tend to be people with an income. So people are our age and up who have a steady job, and they're not the type of people that tend to be this harassment bullying.
I disagree. That's a blanket statement.
No, well... There are plenty of people our age group that do it, but I think it's a lower percentage compared to teenagers, and specifically younger teens. Those are the people that really need to learn not to be bullies on the internet, and they're using their parents' money, so they're not feeling the monetary punishment at all. They just need to be prevented from playing the game.
I feel that Rage is not age-specific. There are 40-year-olds playing this game with bigger incomes than us that... rage just as hard,
but
because
they're a smaller percentage of the population. You have to admit that when you were playing the game as a teenager, a lot more of your friends were a lot more willing to be a lot ragier.
Yeah,
that's been my experience, Bentley's experience, I'm sure it's
been your experience. I
tend
to rage at my friends who rage, so
yeah,
I don't know.
So you should be banned for that.
No.
But it's overall, I have a lot more. My gripes really aren't founded. I can get over it. I'm okay as long as I don't have to listen to somebody be abusive. That's fine. But I'm also the kind of person that believes people should be thrown in jail for things that most people would disagree with. So
the incarceration rate would go from 10% of the country to 100% of the country.
I wouldn't jail as many drug users, so maybe it would balance out. But you never know.
There you go.
All right. One of the things that Gillyweed and Anna talked to one of the devs about. A dev mentioned that a warrior has internally been changed to specialist.
Oh boy.
And we were trying to speculate who.
Let's only speculate for 45 seconds.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is really quick. I think there's only 2 options. Rexxar and Anubarak.
Wow. Okay.
I can't think of any other warrior that could do it.
Stitches.
No. There's no way.
Stitches has a lot of mechanics that are pretty unique and pretty specialisty.
But I
Gorge,
think...
pull...
But you think of the typical specialist, and you're thinking of somebody who can melt camps, and Stitcher's late game can melt camps, but so can every other warrior.
And it makes you think spawns, add-ons, little guys running around.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like a Nubarak.
Or, and so, and that's why I don't think it's Stitches, just because Stitch's main role in the game is to stand in the front line and be in the way. That's a good Stitches will always be in the way of the enemy.
It would be very interesting if it does end up being Rexxar, and they're just saying, okay, you guys obviously don't want him to be a warrior. We're going to throw him into the category where everybody that we just wanted to have in the game for fun goes.
And it doesn't really fit and support.
Right,
Assassin
murky, Gaslow.
Exactly. So that's my thoughts. Comment, email us, niceguysnetwork@gmail.com. Let us know what you think, who the warrior could be. Maybe we could, just have a little fun with it, make a little prize pool out of it. Let people, if you say the right warrior, we'll give you a high five or a shout out or something. I don't know. Especially if you can justify it.
Or maybe we'll give you one of those really cool
retweets.
No.
Oh.
what are those cool? There's like little action figure people of like there's Stitches.
Oh yeah, okay,
Chef
yeah.
Stitches.
Yeah.
They're very cool.
All right, so we got free week now. Well, actually, no. The one thing I do want to interject. This is going to be real quick, less than 30 seconds. BlizzCon will have hero devs there, and one of the quotes they said with this is maybe talk about a new map. This tells me two things. Ooh. One, there's a new map coming out, which is exciting, and that all but confirms it. And two, they will not release a new map until BlizzCon, which to me is perfectly fine. They've had 2 maps come out in quick succession. Some people haven't gotten to play the new map. Some people have gotten to play a very few. And I still wish Battlefield of Eternity popped up all the time because I win that map almost every time I play it, and I lose Infernal Shrines every single time I played it. So I think it's good that they're going to take some time, and hopefully this will be a really new, exciting StarCraft map.
Yep, StarCraft map.
All right, so free week.
So, okay, free week is Brightwing, Stitches, Diablo, Vala, Zeratul, Malfurion, and Sylvanas.
Okay.
Sylvanas.
Woo. And Billy hates this free week.
Yeah, bad free week.
Well, no, actually, I don't. I like this free
Oh
week.
my
This
god.
free week is full of heroes I really enjoy either on my team or playing as.
Yeah.
I love Vala. She's one of my favorite assassins to play as. Because she's
you.
one of the only assassins I can play as.
Thank you.
Stitches is possibly my favorite character in the game. I would play him every single game if I could, and if he was viable. Diablo was my favorite character in the game for a very long time.
I think that Stitches is viable.
I think when I play Stitches, he's viable.
I've
seen
I've
plenty of
seen
people
a lot-
play Stitches.
Oh yeah, I mean you have to know how to play the characters
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
playing.
Malfurion and Brightwing are 2 of the best specialists supports in the game, especially if Aaron's on Brightwing, and Malfurion is just playing good. Sylvanas is arguably the best specialist after Nazeebo and Zagara. And Zeratul is just the best assassin in the game right now.
Yeah.
So I actually really, really like this free week.
Yeah, it seems like our picks here are pretty similar. You circled Brightwing over Malfurion. I did Malfurion over Brightwing just because I'm expecting the usual meta pick right now. But if you know how to play Brightwing pretty well, like you do, then you would for sure pick that over Malfurion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really depends on the map.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't pick Brightwing and Spiders.
Yeah, exactly. But like Vala, Stitches, Sylvanas, I mean and Zeratul, these guys can deal a good amount of damage, and they have a great kit as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your team? I don't think you actually said it.
Sorry. The team is Brightwing, Stitches, Vala, Zeratul, and Sylvanas.
And is that's both your teams?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, surprise! I'm gonna deviate.
Oh,
All
here
right.
we go.
Malfurion, because Malfurion is one of the best supports in the game right now. Diablo and Stitches, because T-Tank meta.
For
Plus,
sure.
both Diablo and Stitches do decent amount of damage to substitute for the
But
fact
I'm willing
that
to
they
bet you
would
have
be.
Zeratul.
I do have Zeratul, and I do have Vala.
Woohoo.
So that'd be my 5. I'd leave Sylvanas out, actually, here.
Map dependent, though?
Map dependent, though.
Okay.
If it's a heavy camp taking map, doubloons or spiders, Sylvanas is in, Vala is out. Otherwise, though, Vala, I think on every map, just because she puts out so much damage, it's unbelievable. Zeratul just has so much control over the map, as well as the fact that he can burst down any squishies in no time at all. Malfurion's control is amazing, as well as his heal over time is really good. And since you have 2 tanks in there, Malfurion, of course, just fits in the 2-tank meta.
Yeah.
Stitches can make great picks in order for people to really lock down. One of my favorite lane combos that I don't get to do that often is Stitches Diablo, because if Stitches lands a good hook, pulls them in, Diablo's right there, slams them over the wall, and suddenly somebody's trapped in your base and you kill them in no time at all.
Well, and especially with Malfurion's stun on top of that, that's a pretty good combo.
Right. No, and it's just fun. I think that's just a fun team to play as. I don't think that's necessarily a team I would take into ranked, but I'd have fun playing it. So
Cool.
So that's a free week. If you're new, play Vala.
If you're new, play Vala is just a blast.
She's an easy hero to play, but then again, she also has a lot of ways that she can be played that's up in pro to recruitment level.
We've talked about it before, how she is so straightforward.
Yeah.
That they could literally take a slider and just make her stronger or weaker as they want to, and perfectly scale.
Exactly.
But the crazy thing is they've done nothing to her since like beta.
She's fine.
She's without a doubt the best done champion in this game. There's literally no wrong way to build her. You can build her however you want, and it's viable in every single situation. And, I mean, she's competitive. You see her in competitive play.
Oh, yeah.
You can also see a rookie player and play her to great effect. She's not, that high of a skill cap while still being acceptable.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like, she's just the best.
Oh, yeah.
Well done. She's the most well done champion in this game.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that fact.
Mm-hmm. No map stats this week, which leads us to the counter to Rexxar, Stitches.
Now, I don't know how to counter Rexxar here because I've never played against a Rexxar. I've never played as a Rexxar. I've never seen a Rexxar played because I haven't played Heroes this week, the past 2 days.
The secret to countering Rexxar, chain him, gorge him, walk back, chain him,
Gorge
Misha, because Rexxar is pretty squishy, and without Misha available, he can't cast either 2 or 3, depending on the ultimate you take, of his skills.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about the ultimates when we get to the ultimates, because I do kind of deviate from most people when it comes to it. And that'll certainly be a situational thing. But just to go through the list here, okay, so for one of the advantages of Stitches is the fact that he makes the best picks in the game. There's no other champion that's able to displace an enemy player as well as Stitches.
Oh, yeah.
He can grab somebody after a certain point. If you take Fishing Hook at like level 16, I believe it is, you can almost grab somebody completely across the lane, pull them right into your team, and suddenly it's like, okay, now it's a 1v5 and you're dead.
Yeah.
It's just wonderful. And that's why I really like him. That, and also he offers the best body block opportunity because he is one of the largest scale models in the game. It's like him and Diablo and ETC are pretty much like...
maybe?
Asmodee's big, but you typically don't want to be using
That's
him
true.
as body block. And I'm thinking warrior specific here.
Yeah.
But him, ETC, and Diablo are the 3 biggest scale-wise. They're the easiest to body block with, and Stitches is just one of the best because you just stand there and you're in the way pretty much. And that leads me to the talents.
In the way.
If you're playing against an auto-attack heavy team, take block. There's just no argument there that you should be doing that on every single warrior. If you're playing against a Vala, Sylvanas, Raynor, Tychus, people like that, you want to take block because that'll save your life more often than not. Otherwise, though, I like to take Chew Your Food. It makes your Devour, which is your E, also heal you for 9.555% of your max health over 3.06 seconds. That's essentially 10% of your max health over a certain amount of time. So that means, later in the game, if you're low on health, you're running around, and you need to survive, just chomp a minion, suddenly you're back up 10% of your health, and it's like, hey, I'm ready to engage again. And that's on top of the heal that it already gives you, which is a huge amount, and it does a decent amount of damage. So Devour is a really good talent here. Chew Your Food complements that greatly. I have seen people do the regen master because there's a way with how Stitches regens health that you can get it to a point where you're like almost 100 health per second regen if you collect orbs and you're Johnny on the spot with that.
Okay.
This is not something I would recommend to new players. This is something I hardly do myself because I'll do it on like the Spiders map just because it's so small and easy to get orbs and orbs and orbs. But on bigger maps or just maps where you're locked into your lane, don't do that. Chew Your Food.
Okay.
And then you drop down to number 4. If you have a really good healer, Amplified Healing is always a blast. If you have a Brightwing, a Malfurion, anything like that, just being able to keep yourself up alive, that much more. If you're the sole tank, sole responsibility of your team, Amplified Healing is the way to go. But I always take Vile Cleaver.
Ooh.
Vile Cleaver, your basic attacks create a cloud of Vile Gas. So Vile Gas is your passive, and essentially whenever you get attacked by it, it lays down a little AoE situation, like right underneath your feet, that does damage over time. And this is something that you can do. Oh, yay. And this is a way to just increase your Vile Glass or Vile Gas laying out of, if you will. Because it's a great way to deal additional damage. It helps you clear waves in no time at all. And it's one of the ways that makes you really good at killing camps later on. So Vile Cleaver is the way to go. You get down to level 7, Talent 7. I like Tenderizer because slowing down the basic attacks of it, or your basic attacks slow down the movement speed of your enemy by 25% is just great. It helps you get catches that much more. Then I go to 10. Putrid Bile is the way I always go because it deals 20 damage per second. It slows them down by 35%, and you gain 20% movement speed. So it really lets you just almost bypass the front line of the enemy team right onto the back line, and then you can start wailing on them.
I disagree. I think that Gorge more fits Stitch's core purpose, which is not to do damage, not to get away. It's to tank and set up situations for your team to destroy people.
And that's absolutely fair. And there's some situations where I would take Gorge. I've just found so much more success with Putrid Bile. If I'm on Curse with 4 other people playing Stitches, Gorge is a great choice because I can be like, hey guys, I just grabbed their squishy. Come stand on me. We're going to kill them.
Yeah.
But Putrid Bile allows me to just get in there and control the map.
Yeah.
And that's what I find to be really important when in solo queue. Level 13. Don't take Helping Hand because you'll always screw it up. Helping Hand allows you to pull allied heroes.
Yeah.
It doesn't deal any damage to them. It just lets you pull them. Just don't. You're going to try to make a great pull, and then suddenly your specialist is going to step in the way, and now you grab your specialist. You have a huge cooldown timer going on. It's just bad. The one I go with is Mega Smash, usually. It increases the range and the arc of your slam by 25%. The other good one, though, is Relentless. Anytime that you can reduce CC against you is always a good choice. So if you're playing against a CC-heavy team, go Relentless. Otherwise, take Mega Smash. Level 16, I like Fishing Hook. The ability to grab somebody at a 40% additional range, you will make picks that people will thought they were safe from.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely hilarious because you can see the entire enemy team running away, and then you just throw a pick. You throw out your hook, you grab them out of the fog of war, and suddenly it's like, even if you grab the tank, their team is so far away, you kill their tank by the time the rest of the team comes in for the rescue, and it's absolutely hilarious.
And you're hoping for that Jaina.
Yeah, exactly. If you are playing against like a butcher or somebody who's auto attack heavy, Imposing Presence is always a good choice. And if you're not worried about making picks, then my next go-to would be Pulverize. It decreases Slam's cooldown by a huge amount, and it also slows enemies by 75% for 1 second. So, but I just love making those picks, so I always go Fishing Hook. That's what I would always recommend because it's just fun.
The slam combined with the slam increased size is what I always went. But
Yeah.
I have to agree. Seeing a fishing hook out of nowhere is hilarious.
It's absolutely hilarious. Level 20, I think anytime that you can increase your ultimate, you go for it here. Gorge can be repeatedly recast until the first target is expelled. So if you're good and if the enemy team's stupid, you could, in theory, grab the entire enemy team. Regenerative Bile, though, this makes your Putrid Bile last a couple of seconds longer. It grants 10% additional movement speed, and it heals you for 50% of the damage dealt by Putrid Bile. That's amazing, and that almost justifies just taking Putrid Bile itself. Hardened Shield is also good. Don't take Bolt of the Storm. And to me, that's Stitches. My big problem with Stitches, though, he looks ugly.
Well, that's the point, though. It's the beauty on the inside.
I just wish there was a skin for him that made him look a little bit more attractive.
There's just a skin for him, and he just looks like super dapper, and like there's no stitching at all. He's just like a beautiful man.
Like a Gentleman Stitches. I think a Gentleman Stitches would be completely appropriate. Yeah, exactly.
There's a Stitches ready for the beach.
Boys.
Yeah, it's still ugly.
We've made it 20 episodes.
20 episodes.
Hey, cheers.
Thanks for tuning into Podcast Heroes, where we podcast about heroes.
Mine was cranberry juice.